Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Talking That Talk Official Podcast. I am where we have comfortable and uncomfortable conversations. I'm talking to right now. I'm your host, Juice, aka The Ordinary Brother.
All right, what's good, world? I go by the name of King Exodus, aka X.
All right, guys, we got something in we want to bring to the table. Oh man, so the title of this topic is defending non-experience arguments, right? These
Mhm.
are for people who always want to do the counter argument but never experience, right? Um, a little while ago, I was talking to an individual,
Mhm.
and they wanted to defend a relationship they never had. She was like, "Well, you men are kind of like bums and bitches and stuff." And I was like, "Oh, wow, where's this coming from?" I was like, "Hey, my condolences to your experience." She was like, "Well, I never experienced that, but I know from what women tell me, that's what they experience." So I was like, "Wait, so if you never experienced it, why are you arguing for it?" You know what I'm saying? I never understood that, right? Even when it comes to business investments, business decisions,
Mhm.
people be like, if that was me in that position, I would have did this, I would have did that, I would have made that investment go up, I would have had that asset over there. I'm like, yo, hold on, bro. Do you have any experience in business? They're like, well, I'm just saying if I was in that position. And this is my thoughts on it, right? There are some non-experiences that you can get attached to that's okay to defend. And then I believe there's some experiences that you haven't had, you shouldn't even talk about. But
Mhm.
that's what I'm bringing to the table today is defending non-experience arguments. What do you think about the subject so far?
Okay, I think it's a great topic. Most definitely, a lot of people do this, and it becomes normal conversation, right? So the first area I could tap into would be like this whole negative experiences with the opposite sex, like you mentioned in your
Mm-hmm.
opening, right? A lot of people pass down this whole notion like men ain't shit, women ain't shit, without actually going through these hardship experiences. And even if somebody do like tap into their own obstacles with the opposite sex, they will still put it in a not so much of a micro point of view to where it's personal. They'll put it on a larger scale and kind of inflate it so it can fit the narrative that everybody else is complaining about.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's like in engaging with the opposite sex, is optimism really the goal? Is like producing things that we actually want out of these relationships really the goal?
Mm-hmm.
Or is failing just to fit in with the crowd the goal? You know what I mean? So, like I say, a lot of people will live throughout negative experiences that other people have encountered and carry it like it's their own experience. Like growing up as a young man, young black man, uh, I seen married men growing up. You know what I'm saying? That kind of was like, all right, cool. This is how you do it. This is the play. You know what I mean? I seen guys in relationships, but I had a bigger crowd of guys that was like, man, fuck these women, man. Do you? You know what I'm saying? Don't trust them. Hey, get your money. Fuck all that other shit. To where that became the norm. I'm like, okay, I can't trust these women. I can't. I really can't. So like now I'm being like, um, I would say confirmation bias, right? Because now I just need one experience to
Mhm.
prove all this negative shit, right? Now I'm locked in. Yep. Hey, fuck
Yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah.
Get this money. You know
I,
what I
I
mean?
knew
So,
that bitch wasn't no good. I knew
yeah.
it.
So like engaging within the opposite sex, like yeah, you're gonna have like similarities within people because the opposite sex does share similarities, right? But
Mhm.
at the same time, each individual is just that, an individual. You know what I'm saying? People have different type of experiences that got them to become the way they are in the present moment.
Mhm.
So I just feel like if optimism is really the goal in relationships, we would actually give things a chance throughout to become anecdotic. You know what I'm saying? I love information, I love statistics, but I feel like if you haven't experienced it yourself, you can't really have that type of negative energy towards it. You know what I mean? So that goes to like family structure. Some people was like, I never get married because I ain't trying to go through the divorce. You're already looking towards the end. You ain't
Mhm.
even worked your way towards the beginning.
Right.
So you know what I'm saying? These type of things happen over and over again. I ain't gonna be too long with it on that.
No, man, no, man, that was beautiful. That's what the purpose of this. Like, we're gonna talk about it all, right? I can talk about my experience with that as well. You know, like I said, growing up, rap lyrics, family members,
Fuck bitches, get money.
and you have to. Hey, what? Lil Wayne had that money on my mind. Oh, boy, that was a song, and he had the little chant in the back. Fuck bitches,
Hmm.
get money. Like I used to chant that in my head every day. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So as we talk about, like even the experiences with women, right? Some of us come in relationships guarded. You know what I'm saying? Like there's always that dude that'll tell you, people out, young blood. He basically telling you in your ear what's already going to be expected of the woman you're getting involved with
Step by
because of
step.
his experience,
Yeah.
right? What kind of parents she live with? Oh, her mom's single. Oh, okay. How many siblings?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Get
Oh,
me,
yeah.
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
listen, this was going to happen for you, young blood. This was
yeah.
about to go down.
Hmm.
And you know what I'm saying? So we kind of look at scenarios like that and you really don't know. But like you said, all you need is that little confirmation. Like, heck yeah, this old man was right. He was right. He was
Hmm.
right. That's all you needed. And I be like, a lot of this stuff be going crazy, right? I remember not too long ago, we had a little open discussion. We was talking about interracial dating. One dude dated, quote unquote, he dated two black women out of his life, and he
His
dated
whole life, right?
majority of like brown and white women. So
Right.
his vibes were like, man, look, you know what I'm saying? These white girls, they let you do anything, man. They put in button, you know what I'm saying? They nasty as hell. But you know, black women don't want you touching. I was like, yo, like, hold on, bro.
Big
You only
time.
had two experiences out of your whole life. You're only 25. How are you gonna
Mhm.
tell me to put a general statement on black women because you had two experiences and quote unquote they were a bad one, so now you feel dating outside your race is the choice to do, right? Instead of just going out there, upgrading yourself as a man, upgrading your quality, getting better options and doing stuff like that, you have a general basis and principle around it. But we can also talk about how social media and movies play to it, right? That's also more confirmations that we get as to why we go into these situations kind of guarded,
Mhm.
right? So I also believe one of the main things when it comes to media and social media, we should play into things that they already created a narrative for. We gotta prove to them that they're liars at the same time, right? What's the thing they always say about black women? Oh, the angry black woman, she's vocal, she's doing this and that, or the independent woman, she does this and that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Some of them does have the statistics, facts, and data behind it to where you can literally read into it to a point where it's believable. It's facts behind it. But like they
Mhm.
said, it's already exceptions to the rule that you might come across a woman or even a man that shows you different, but they just happen to follow in some of that same criteria, right? Grew up in the hood, like I said, single parent, or they might have both parents. So you thinking something some way because you see them grow up one way, but it's really something else different. But that's just my thing right there. I don't know if you want to stay on this part or we can move to our
Hell
opposite.
yeah, I got some more. I got
You
some
got some
more.
more?
I
I
told
know
it
we're
from
gonna do
like
for a while.
you know what I'm saying, the man perspective of like, growing up being told, you know, don't really marry her because she gonna divorce you one day and take half your shit. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like you hear these type of things, but I think women go through it in a different capacity. You know what I'm saying? To where a lot of hurt women and abused women train their generation of daughters, and nieces, and everybody to
Ooh.
be a soldier, a general, with two guns, rocket launchers, grenades. They
Mm,
not gonna, you know what I'm saying? They ain't gonna let no man in because they was trained since day one. This is what a man gonna do from start to finish. You
mm.
know what I mean? So only thing once again that they need is just maybe one or two experiences and boom. Now they on the I hate men train. You know what I mean? But I always look at like before you digest somebody's information or advice, you got to put it through a filtration process. You have to see how it is applicable for you and where it's not. And then you got to check yourself and then look at the person that's talking to you. And you got to like analyze what did they go through to get them to that type of thinking mentality. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
what 50 did with power, he gave you power, right? And then some shit is progressive. And then he's giving you this backstory on raising Canaan. Because without Canaan, none of this other shit will go on. So it's like, okay, cool. I'm gonna give you the background on this main character to show you how all this shit started. How did this person become this monster? How did this person become the way that they are today? So we just have to analyze that type of things before we just take people advice. So Like I said,
Right.
I know a lot of women will go to the extreme length to make sure their friends and shit stay single. And that's whether they single or not. Guys, you put that on the table. Whether they single or not, they're gonna make sure your ass is single. So it's kind of like
I
you
need
say,
somebody to talk to. I need somebody to
yeah, I
talk
need somebody to talk to. Yeah.
to.
So it's like this cycle of hurting people, and it's done in the most subtle ways. You know what I mean? So you can take it somewhere else.
Man, I can actually stay on that subject
Oh,
just
we can
because
say that, bro.
man, like I said, just on that, just the start is going to be long and stressed out. But man, like I didn't already like I had so many scenarios like that, and man, it's so many different scenarios that I had that with women and stuff. Even women telling you the game of other women. I don't like some of that is crazy because they're like, well, "Look, I'm a woman. I know what she's gonna do to you." I'm like,
That,
"I."
that, yeah,
Yeah, they feel
that's
like
another.
because they're the same sex, what they say to you is gonna be 100% accurate. Just
Uh,
because, hey, we're the same, right? That's just like me saying, "Hey, look, he a man, I'm a man. I know what he's gonna do to you." Like, no, you don't know the fuck. You don't know that.
bro.
You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, we grow up and we're already judging people off appearance, off tops. He talk funny. Oh, okay. He got tattoos. Oh, okay. What kind of car he drive? He got a hoopty. Oh, he got a BMW. Hold on, he's 22 like that. Oh no, he ain't good. You might want to watch him, baby girl. You know what I'm saying? He might put you. You know what I'm saying? It's stuff like that we got to be able to observe. Let me go ahead and take a little corner. Now, this is something I like to bring up. Right? You have issues. You have, like you said, when women teach their younger daughters. Right? We also have people that want to go back in time and be like, well, the man was able to run the house. Nowadays that women are able to get the money and get their own bank account. We don't need them no more. I'm like, yo, what the fuck happened? Like, you know what I'm saying? You got people who would tell you about the time period, even when that was going on, how families was trying to stay strong as much as possible before the government intervened. But people will believe in yeah, you know what I'm saying, black men were leaving the black women. And I was like, hold on, like I said, when there's statistics and you can see history play in front of your eyes, with a lot of data, that's when you can actually kind of argue the non-experience, right? For instance, um, some of us millennials, we didn't grow up in the slave time period, right? You have people that be like, well, your people were slaves, but you ain't never experienced. But we argue that point to the core, like, yo, that was my fucking people, though. It don't matter that I never experienced. I'm from that culture. So seeing my people go through that situation, that's why we get so attached to it. We're passionate about it, and we don't let shit slide when it comes to that, right? The racism, like I said, slavery, the racism, the criticism. We can see it from back then to us happening now while we embody it, even if we never had the experience yet. Because you know what I'm saying? People telling their stories was the reasons why some of us embody the emotions that come with it. And as I said, that's a non-experience that I can say, look, that's perfectly fine to argue about because there's a lot of information over it. I don't know, like we ain't never heard somebody say so far like that. Oh, when we were slaves, it was a good thing. None of that. So go ahead. I don't know what you want. Let's see where you take it from there.
Uh, I tap in on that same point.
Right.
When we talk about just women alone, we understand that women have these things called primate cells, which is stating that every woman pretty much is born with her potential children. So what happens is the experiences that she encounters throughout her life is kind of already being genetically encoded within her children that's yet to come.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So that's why in certain people's culture, it's either mandatory or not even important for them to respect or disrespect the woman. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Based on that knowledge of that type of science. So going back to slavery, you had type of things to where they would do like the butt breaking, where they'd take the biggest black guy, you know what I'm saying, on the whole plantation and make sure they sexually abuse him in front of everybody so that the message is clear. You know what I'm saying? We are the dominant uh, race. We are the dominant man. You know what I mean? So this type of trauma gets encoded in that DNA pool. You know what I mean? Like I watched a documentary where they was talking about like, you know what I'm saying, strip clubs and shit. And they took it back to slavery. How they would have these houses on the plantation to where one
Wow.
house would
Yeah.
be
Keep going. Keep
full of
going.
men, boys, and all that shit. And
Mm-hmm.
they'd be forced to dress like women. And then the homosexual slave owners would go in there and have sex with them. Then they had
Mm-hmm.
another house with the women doing the same thing. you know what I'm saying, dressing provocative, all these things, and then they go in there, rape them, sleep with them. Now it's entertainment for us to go to the strip club. It's entertainment for us to watch a music video and see chicks shaking their ass all day. You know what I'm saying? Now it's so genetic, it's so put into our genetics that now it became a part of us. You know what I mean? So these type of things they can lead to other things, you know what I'm saying? We could talk about like, I don't want to tackle that area. I already mentioned how they was forcing the homosexuality at one point and forcing black men to dress like that on a slave plantation. Now they do it freely, but that's another conversation. But it's just saying that these type of things is reasons why people did what they did on those plantations. Maybe they didn't understand the science. Maybe some of them did, but we still facing a lot of that trauma to this day. Now, what becomes a problem with me is when some black people take it too far. Like, this trauma probably not really even enacting itself within your DNA, but you can find a crutch throughout this type of system. Right. To where just as we've been oppressed, I'm gonna just ride that shit till the wheels fall off. Woo. And any fucking thing happens,
let's go, man.
I'm gonna go back to slavery. I'm gonna go back to the oppression. So it's like on one side is people that actually live that shit, and they probably can't even pinpoint why they have mental issues, why they encounter certain type of things in certain scenarios, because maybe they lack the knowledge. But like I said, it's another group of people that's always going to use that shit as a crutch. So it's going to be like that 50-50 deal. I would just simply say like, man, know thyself. You know what I'm saying? You have to understand why black men are emasculated the way they are. Like, you got to think about it. If any other group of man, Kanye just went on a rant, but I kind of do something similar, but not as bad. But do you think if when the Asians got beat up, they immediately passed the anti-Asian hate bill? You know what I mean? When the LGBTQ community gets abused in any way, they automatically like, nah, we got to shut this shit down. You know what I'm saying? So when any group of people encounter some type of disrespect that they consider disrespectful, we got to shut that shit down. It's negative. But black people, hey, if a cop kill a black person, it's a reason why that shit is on every television. It's a reason why it's all over social media. It's like they want you to see the shit. They want you to see black men getting emasculated by the police. It's psychological, like warfare type shit. So I would just simply say, once we kind of study all these things, we got to move different. We definitely got to go back, do our research, see where certain things originated from. And that would rewrite what we do right now. So that's all I got from that.
Hey, like I said, I'm going to comment on something that just was said, is that people tend to latch on to what's popular and what the masses favor. Like, yeah, people ride the wave, right? People ride the wave and a chance to get like, I was watching, shoot, I ain't gonna lie, watched the documentary. Kanye was talking about the rise of Black Lives Matter and stuff and of that nature. I mentioned before in the episode, like, yo, people was just riding that wave for a chance to get noticed, for a chance to make money, for a chance for whatever, right? And it'd be amazing that some people want to embody, like they said, you want to embody our culture, but you don't want to embody our pain. That's you know, from rap, hip hop style, fashion. Yeah. Let's take all that. But hey, man, y'all ass was, man, I don't know about that. Hey, look, I walk with y'all. I put up a sign. You know, I put up them black squares in my bio. You know, I might donate $5. I put on a shirt. You know what I'm saying? It gets to a point where you really realize, like, people full of shit, but at the same time, you don't know how to pinpoint it out, right? We see it all the time. Every goddamn February, what they do? Every product goes Black History. They put on the African dashiki colors on stuff, Black History this, Black History that. Soon as that shit's over, hey, yo, turn that down, man. It's March now. Like, put something else up there, man. Like it's over, right? You might get love for that whole goddamn month, but when that month is over, it's a whole different story. Okay, so I want to switch to a different topic right now. You have people embodying politics. You know what I'm saying? Political situations, or following the trend of, hey, if family's a Democrat, you got to be a Democrat, but you don't know why. And they'll tell you the story behind it. Then they'll be like, okay, this is why we got to do it. But then they'll also have experiences that are bad when being around that political group. But they'll still follow it because that's the thing to do. They never experienced something else. It's like, no, man, I was told they were bad, and we don't need to be able to talk to them, communicate with them. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, at one point, I looked at politics on the basis of Bloods and Crips. You have people that just hate each other just because they wear the opposite color, or they have different structural foundations. They have different what's the word I want to say? Yeah, they have different structure, foundation, boundaries, uh, associations, allies. You just embody, embrace it like it's nothing, but you really don't know what's behind what you're taking for yourself. So, what is your mindset on people that's defending politics but never experienced something good or bad from it?
Okay. I'm gonna go there, but I gotta go back just real quick. Given those stories of when black men got emasculated and it was by force,
Huh?
now we look at like the relationship between black men and black women. We do it to each other now for free without the force. You know
Mm.
what I mean? Like black men would have to be in a situation to where they had to get emasculated, right? No control of it, whatever. Now, shit, you see the black women giving that energy to black men for free of cost. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing on both sides. And then, you know what I mean? Like we go to this whole situation where women are hypergamous and all these type of things, and women don't submit fully unless the man is able to be a man 100% and provide, right? But I always say, like, whose narrative is that, right?
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure if people could have got married in slavery, right?
Mm.
Do you think that woman was like, I can't submit to you because you're a slave just like me. You can't provide.
Mm.
They was enslaved, but they still had a higher marital rate than what we do now as free people. How's that?
Even
How
during
can
the Jim Crow.
slaves get married at a faster capacity than free people and have functional marriages? And we completely free with economic resources and we fight each other. So it's
Mm.
like, cool. Who cares who makes the most money? Who cares, you know what I'm saying, who's doing what? The main objective should be let's work as a collective and make sure that we're successful as a collective, right?
Mm.
Stop living in other people's narratives. Create your own. You know what I mean? You may not start off, you know what I'm saying, 100% man, but eventually that should be a goal for you. You know what I'm saying? Like that woman may not start off being the most submissive woman. Hey, that should still be a goal for her. Like everybody should have goals. Everybody should have points that they're working towards in a relationship, right? So tapping into the political scene, um, I'm really not too much of a political guy. Um, that's just me. Um, but for the people that fall into that shit, I don't think you can have any type of loyalty to either side, especially being black, because it's the difference between voting and lobbying, right? The only way you can actually get something from your vote is if you actually lobby, which means you putting some type of money towards the party that you're voting for, right?
Mm.
That way now they owe you something, right? They know who you are. You actually a person, you exist, or you a collective group. You know what I mean? Like you had, even when Obama was in office, you had Obama in the Hispanic community. You had politicians doing things for certain groups, right?
Mm.
F by their ethnicity based on their involvement in them getting into that position. So if the only thing you did was give somebody a free vote, I mean, do they really owe you anything? Let's take away morality out of it. It's still a business. You know what I mean? So people got to tend to who put them in office by who really funded their campaign, who put money in their pocket. So that's how you lobby. You wouldn't have a Federal Reserve if they didn't lobby. That shit just didn't happen automatically. You know what I
Correct.
mean? Even still today, the way certain bills get passed, it's because people are lobbying for that shit to happen.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So that'd just be my cap on it. Is either side good or bad? No. Like I said, it really just depends on the political agenda and the people that are lobbying to get whatever that they want to come into existence. That's the way the world works, sad to say. So, but just pointing this finger, you know what I mean? That's a terrible thing to do because people do this emotional voting. You know what I mean? Like we talked about it in the previous episode, like when we first started, how the original Black Party was the Republican Party.
Yeah.
And then it flipped.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It
So,
flipped later on in life.
right.
It really
So,
flipped because of what's his name, the one who signed for the civil rights. That's when everybody jumped on ship. I can't think of his name. I must have Theodore. No. I can't think of his name right now. The one who signed for the civil rights when JFK got assassinated. Basically, that's
Come on,
what.
I think the dude behind him was, I want to say Eisenhower. I want to say.
Yeah, like I said, I forgot, but that's the one who put it in play, and that's when people jump to different sides. Because even when Martin Luther King was alive, we learned that later on he was conservative, he was a Republican, but where he get most of his money from? The government, and what side was in office during that time? The Democrats. So as he's marching in the political wave, you automatically think he's embracing liberals and democratic behaviors, but behind the scenes, he's always conservative and Republican. And
But
so,
man, yeah,
yeah,
politics should be like, we should all take notes from women on this.
yeah,
Fellas, you could be with a woman for 10 years, pay for everything. I
uh,
mean, do the utmost.
yeah.
By year 11, if you don't make her happy, her ass is gone. She like, what have you done for me lately? That's the mentality people should have in politics. All this bullshit of just
Okay,
pledging
okay, I
blind
like that.
loyalty.
I like that. I
Yeah,
was like, well, where he going with that?
yeah,
Where
I'm
he
going
going
with
with
it. Yeah, pledging this
that?
blind loyalty. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to just vote for this party no matter what. And
Yeah.
for generation, and generation, we just going to vote the same. Like, what are the results at? The Hispanic community, they like, we done with Democrats. If you want our vote, you got to work for it. You got to
Oh
show us something.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
We're not just
I
giving it
remember
to you.
that.
And
They
they still
voted
doing it
black,
right now.
bro.
So,
They don't play. That's one thing I respect about the Hispanic community. I remember when the election was going off.
mm,
Uh,
I like that.
what was that? Despacito or something like that. The dude that sings it, I forgot his name. But they went to him, and he was like, "Yeah, man, I'm trying to get this Hispanic community." He said, "Yo, what you doing for us?" He said that straight up. I said, "Damn." You know what I'm saying? It's
Mm,
like if y'all ever notice, they don't never go for the educated members of the community. They go for people who have the most status within the community, who has the most reach for the community. You know what I'm saying? Some of our most black educators don't really have that big of a reach because they're educators. Everybody doesn't want to listen. You know what I'm saying? I want to say everybody don't want to listen, but their reach is not as powerful as entertainment, music, fashion, and stuff of that nature that's eye catching, that's appealing. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't sit there and talk about how powerful education is to make people want to go out there and learn. That's why I feel like it's powerful when you actually hear individuals who accomplish certain things that still keep preaching about learning, growing, uh, improving your behavior. So I feel like that's powerful. I do want to pick up this comment that was left. I believe that makes perfectly sense. They said like, yo, how can you complain about what's going on politically if you never voted? Because you still have people to be like, well, no matter who you vote, we're always a shit. But then again, the people who vote, if they actually win, then it feels like to them their vote counted. So I do want to pick it up. That was an excellent point as well. Um, Let me see. Defending non-experiences. I did.
I got, hold on. I
Go
got
ahead.
one more thing to slide in
Go
about
ahead.
this. Look at the pressure that people in poverty put on rappers and entertainers, right? You would tell a rapper he can't come to your hood, he can't drive through your city without a pass.
Right.
He can't come to your hood that you don't own, no type of real estate, unless he pay y'all, unless he do something for the community, right? He got to follow rules. He probably can't wear his jury. You know what I mean? All this type of shit. Meanwhile, going back to politicians, right? I want y'all to go and research Obama's net worth before he became president and by the time he left his presidential time, right? So what we're saying is the politicians that we put our actual lives in their hands,
Mhm.
they don't have to do shit for us. They don't need passes. They don't have to check in. They don't have to show the hood love. They don't have to do nothing but just be on TV
Mhm.
and talk nice.
Shake
Talk
it
to me
with
nice.
shake
They ain't
some
got
hand.
to serve us. They ain't got to do nothing. And those are the people that should get that pressure. You would
Right.
tell Floyd Mayweather, you know what I'm saying, I ain't going to watch your fight if you don't give money back to the communities. And then you
Right.
got all these black politicians. What the fuck are they doing for the community? And they got your vote.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So we put the pressure on the wrong group of people. Rappers and
Right.
entertainers shouldn't get that pressure. You should put that pressure on the politicians, maybe your preachers, maybe your churches, uh, people that actually got some type of connection to you on that within that capacity. Not somebody on your TV screen dancing, hitting a punching bag, or dribbling the ball down the court. So,
Entertainment.
yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's all.
So
That's that,
I know
sir.
I was gonna pick just the last comment before I switch subject is like I think y'all fail to realize people actually successfully done that to politicians. The mafia. Mafia was one of them people that did it. Right?
Obviously.
Hey, look, they what they used to say, JFK is what? Tied to the mafia at one point. Right? There was some things that kept matching up how the JFK was moving and how the mafia was able to move once he got into office. Right? Same thing with damn, I can't think of his name. Yeah. I said, okay, if I want to know who was going deeper president, I should have just came with the names. But these were
Mm.
things that actually came into place. You had the mafia that was illegal putting pressure on politicians, right? I remember when Trump went to Cali and Chicago, right? YG made a whole song FT, or was it
Fuck
FTB?
Donald Trump. Yeah.
Yeah, for the FTD, for Donald Trump, right? Came in, they shut it down, right? Yeah, 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 you ain't doing that shit over here, right? So why is it that when they have things like that, we don't shut it down on the basis like, look, till you get on that stand, look, we need to holler at you. Like, what you doing? Otherwise, we're gonna give you 5 minutes and pull you down. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? Right? We can always threaten each other on a level to want to put violence on them, but we can't put the correct message to an individual to put pressure on them, make them realize, like, okay, look, they mean business, right? I
Mm-hmm.
know that there's times before I go into meetings or meetings I'm getting out of, like, people are saying the correct words to a point. Like, if you feel like it's a threat, it's only because you have a weak mind,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's why it feels like a threat to you. But it's a serious nature of that you need to execute. Otherwise, things can happen. All right, so let's go ahead and move to the next subject. How do you feel about people who can tell you about business and never be in it?
Right. That was gonna be one of my points. Business and investing, right?
Right.
Um, Even if they have been in it or not, their failures or their tactics, that's only exclusive to them. It may be a set standard, right, for certain people. It may be like a formula that can help you, you know what I mean, that you can follow. But I'm not too big on following everybody's blueprint. I'm not. I'm a rebel. You know what I'm saying? I'm a thinker, I'm a creator as well. So I can borrow from your business experience, but I can't live it out as my own because what tends to happen is, let's say I'm from the hood. Uh, any type of business venture I can mention to certain people, they'll say to me, man, don't do that shit. I'm telling you, it's gonna go wrong. I mean, I'm telling you, trust me, nigga, like
Hey,
that shit ain't
trust me,
gonna work.
man.
This gonna happen, and then that. You're like, all right, bet. Like, have you done it? Nah, but trust me, that shit
Trust me,
don't
man.
work
I
for
heard
you.
enough. I know stories. I know a dude that
Or
did it. The dude
right,
that did it after him. Then the did
yeah,
the dude that did
right,
it.
yeah. You know all this shit, but you know what I mean. You can't even fix your own shit, but you gonna tell me, well, I'm gonna fuck up having business. And even like, you know what I'm saying, the whole investment thing. People look at investing like gambling, and I really don't compare the two. You know what I mean? Like, you have information, knowledge, due diligence, all this type of shit that goes into investing. Gambling is none of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't predict how I'm gonna roll a seven or how I'm gonna hit my point. You could probably put a spin on it and probably hit your shit more than other people, but there's no information around that. You know what I'm saying? And even if you lose on an investment, is it really a loss?
No.
We're not even talking on the tax level and all that shit you can write off, but is it really a loss? Because those losses is how you gain more information and you become a better investor or a
Mhm.
better businessman. And whatever your level of success is key, right? I always say set the bar super high. That way, even if you don't hit that mark, what you may hit can still be high,
Mhm.
considering the average people or the average person and what they can and can't do. So this whole notion that you're not a successful businessman or investor unless you're making a meal or you know what I'm saying, you completely financial free, like that shit is a myth. That shit is like uh shit that's pushed on the masses so that they actually won't start. Like if
Nope.
somebody tell you the only way you can make money in stocks is if you got uh thousands of dollars to put into it,
Right.
that may be true, but what you're telling people is don't even try if you
Don't even
don't
try.
have the money to put in it.
Mhm.
So you gotta what? Do what? Access the money or work your damn near your whole life just to reach that point to start.
Right.
When other people are just starting with what they got. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So
Right.
you always
Right.
gotta
Right.
start
Talk
somewhere.
that shit.
You're not
That's
gonna get a
very
perfect
good.
start. Shit's not gonna roll out the way you want it to in the beginning. I always say the first step is the hardest step. But if you have this defeated mind state and you have never tried, that's oppression to me. That's worse. I ain't gonna say it's worse than like what other people went through in the past, having a lack of information, no access to information, not as many resources. Certain people was even enslaved. But to me, having the freedom to do whatever, having everything at your fingertips and still feeling mentally enslaved, to me is a little bit kind of worse. Because it's not really that much holding you back but you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, if somebody else is holding you back by physical force, I can understand why that person is stagnant. Why the fuck are you stagnant? You got everything at your fingertips. You got 24 hours in a day. So these rhetorics of failing in business and investing, that shit is so rapid within our, not just our community, it's just rapid amongst people in general right now. Nobody want to see you make it, and that's another thing. You know what I'm saying? If the shit didn't work for me, I know it ain't gonna work for you, my nigga. I'm gonna just keep it 100. There's no way you gonna crack a code that shit, if I put my 100 into it, it ain't work. That shit, it ain't possible, my nigga. I'm telling you right now. This is what made young guys, young women, you know, drop out of their ambitions, hit the stripper pole, hit the block, go to jail. You know what I'm saying? Fuck it, right? You start believing that shit after a while, that you destined to that school to prison pipeline type of shit. So I ain't gonna talk too much. You got it.
Yeah, you talking too much, man. I ain't get to say nothing. But nah, you doing good tonight, boy. I didn't know you were gonna come with it. I feel like, but on a serious note, like everything he said is factual, right? I remember there's people who actually start ahead of you that you can still end up passing, right? In my investment opportunities that I didn't have in the past, sometimes I had to borrow money or I went in debt. I just kept on hearing like, yo, risk comes reward. Like, hey, look, in order to make some things happen, you're gonna have to do this. Like, I read so many books and audios on program to keep moving forward after every failure. And some people don't understand it. Like, you done tried this, man. I didn't see you do that, and now you're doing this. Like, yo, maybe this thing's not gonna work out for you. You think I'm ever gonna embody that shit? No. Like I said, so many books, stories, audios, podcasts, seminars, lectures, all these things I'd intended to a point where these stories make sense that you just got to keep moving forward. You don't know how many L's you're going to take before you get a W, but it's important that you take every L as a learning lesson, right? Through all my business adventures, that any of them that the ones that fail, I learned the correct way to assess people. I learned the correct way how to reevaluate things. I know how to do things on a hire a better lawyer. Stop taking information from people who never actually done it, or just tell you, hey, follow this guy, basically because they know them, but that person really don't know shit they damn self. You know what I'm saying? It's one thing that individuals can talk to a point to sell, but then you got to talk to them in a point that they need, that you got to buy, right? For instance, I remember there's some questions they told me to ask a financial advisor, and I remember when I first got them, they said, look, if you ask these questions and depending on what they answer, you know if they're a seller or actually an investor. Because some people just want to sell to you so they can make commission. Then you got people who will sell to you because they actually are in investments at the same time. A person who's financially equipped shouldn't be scared to show you their portfolio at the same time, right? How am I advising you to do these investments? And you be like, well, what's your portfolio? You be like, well, you know,
I'm working on it.
You know what I'm saying? Well, hey, I'm trying to help you. You ain't got to worry about me. Right? So a lot of things even being exposed on a financial level from some of these social media people that, look, a lot of these people didn't even have this shit. They sold you on information and knowledge and never put it into play. And then when they get exposed for it, then it's like, well, they're here now, but they wasn't there before. But that's only because they sold to you. If you never had the intentions, like that's one of my main things when it comes to investing now. I would never just throw my money freely and just hope that it makes sense and it'll do better. I want to learn the process as well, right? I had pitched to one of my homeboys. I said, look, bro, I'm an equity and a sweat equity individual. Just throwing my money just to throw it, fuck that. I don't want to ever do that. If I'm putting my money into it, I want to know if I can go in that business and learn different things, right? I'm interested in a couple different business ventures right now. I said, look, if I put my money down, I'm going to work the kitchen. I want to be able to know how to work the bar, and I want to be able to know how to take orders as a waitress. Why? If anything's ever running slow and I'm fucking there, I need to know I can be able to get into action, not rely on them. Like, hey, y'all need to move faster. Hey, I need y'all to do this. I need to be able to go on. Hey, look, we got a lot of drinks right now. All right, you get this side, you get this side. I want to be able to do this side. Hey, look, we're backed up in the kitchen. I need to come. I need to be able to go in there and get in the fucking kitchen and help out. That's what we talk about. Like, if you want some of your business to explode, sometimes you're gonna actually have to get involved with it. Even my homeboy, I said, look, bro, let me let you know the difference between us. You're a business operations, right? You say you like to be behind the scene. I'm more on the business social aspect. I love to socialize with people to learn how I can grow my business better, get with the customers, what can I improve and do things like that. And I left them with a question. I said, this will let me know if we can do business with each other. Do you want 10 new customers or would you want one customer that returns back 10 times? That lets me know how hard you're going to put the energy into making your environment and your business better.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on how you answer that, that would let me know how far I need to go with this person. Because that person come back 10 times will
Mm-hmm.
also bring people with them at the same time. Because that's their spot.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. One thing you said, I'm gonna tap in on. Now I'll make another point. That risk to reward ratio, right? You have to evaluate what type of rewards you want throughout your life.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody want that nice car, big house, multiple
Mm-hmm.
houses,
Mm-hmm.
jewelry, all the tangible things, right? But the risks that you're willing to take will tell you a lot about your mental state. If you only willing to take the risks that'll put you in jail right now, right? Robbing, stealing, gang banging, killing, selling drugs. If those risks become so normal to you, and then when somebody be like, all right, well, look, here go this investment or here go this business play, and you like, I don't know about that one. I don't know. I don't know how that's gonna go. But you'll put your freedom and your life on the line in a heartbeat. That's a conditioning process, right? So that's how oppression tends to work. Everybody really want the same reward. Every group of people on the planet want the same type of rewards, but they willing to take different type of risks. So you got to keep that in mind. That's key. What type of risks are you conditioned to take? And if everybody in your circle is willing to take those same negative risks, you got to get out that circle. You know what I mean? Like, even if you can't step out the circle 100, put a foot out that motherfucker. Do something. Put an arm out that bitch. Do something. But you can't stay in that circle 100% and think you still gonna get to that reward. Even though that's how a lot of people sell their success story, that shit is cap. That's why I like Nipsey so much. He was telling the truth. Like, I couldn't do this shit full time and still make it to the level that I did. I had to leave this circle, you know what I mean, for certain key moments. I came back, but it was a way I came back. But at the same time, I'm telling you, I'm legit. I ain't doing the same shit no more. So you gotta keep that in mind. And that go back to your imagination. We say around between the ages of 5 and 7, a child fully develops their imagination that young. But what tends to happen is the older they get, that shit dies down. Like Pac even had a statement. He said, you don't see too many 30-year-old loudmouth black men no more. Why? Because America drained the life out of them throughout their youth. To where now they just submissive. They just roll over. Fuck it. I don't even want to try no more. I ain't gonna buck the system. So that's why he said, in his mind, they attack young black men so hard because you are the ones that have that capacity to fight. You know what I mean? So that's like a tactic. But I would just simply say, like, when your imagination starts to die out, now we know we got a mental problem somewhere. You should always have a positive imagination. You should always be able to see yourself, like how we used to say, like, if I make it to 18, bet. All right, so if I make it to 21, bet. Now, when I first hit 30, I ain't gonna lie, that shit was like, what the fuck is this? I never envisioned 30. You know what I mean? That's a conditioning process that we got to check. So we should always have our imagination working for us. And one of my last comments I'll make is we live in a necromancy society, so where we feel like death is where we can listen to people that's no longer here. Like, we can give them their flowers, we can do all that shit because they no longer here, right? You could be an ancestor in living form. You know what I'm saying? This whole concept of being an OG or being a G, what is that? Or being an ancestor in the living? What that means is this is what I experienced throughout my time here. So everybody that come under me, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna make sure they don't have to go through the same shit I went through. Whether I could give them knowledge, information, even if I could give them something that's tangible. Okay, so what may happen is I gotta accept the fact that I'm still working for my shit. But even if I'm not the one to go out and make that optimal leap, you know what I'm saying, for the neighborhood, for the family, for the city, for the state, for the culture, whatever, I want to see somebody else do it. And maybe that's my role, maybe it's not, but I'm gonna still contribute to the success of the collective. That's a G. That's an OG. That's an ancestor, right? You're giving somebody else cheat codes on how to win. Mm. But what happens is, if I'm not the person that's taking that dub, I want to see you do it. You're not gonna pass me up. You know what I mean? So it's cool to compete, but it's like you gotta watch who you compete with and what you're competing for. You know what I mean? So don't forget about Lil Bro and them. You know what I mean? Like, but what happens is a lot of people knock off the people that's under them. You see it in movies like, let's take it out of black culture. You see it in movies like Star Wars. Mm-hmm. People kill their apprentice. You ain't finna take my spot, my nigga. I want longevity. You know what I mean? So not being able to have an heir to the throne, not being able to want to see somebody else sit in that throne, that's a problem. So to me, that's what makes you an ancestor or OG or a G or somebody that's beneficial to society, putting other people en route to even surpass you at times. So.
Okay, well, basically saying it's a whole lot of wisdom that needs to come about you as you get older. Sure. Sum that up. But yeah, what he was saying earlier when he was like, yo, you'll risk your freedom, you'll risk, life. What people gotta understand is every day you risk life. It's just what life are you choosing to risk? Are you choosing to risk the life that gets you locked up? Are you choosing the life that, you're risking that can get you, like life is just nothing but risk, and you gotta be able to take them, right? I be catching cold feet sometimes at stuff I want to do, but then in the back of my mind, I'm like, hey, bro, you got to do it. Like, I was playing with my index fund, not index fund. That's another thing. I was playing with my Acorn app, right? There was a certain style that I have my Acorn app. And as I'm playing with the numbers, from investing $25 to $50, $100, all with the $500, I'm like, shit. I'm looking at the max number of what can happen by 60 at the age of 65, right? And when I looked at if I did $2,000 a month and investment $500 a week, I'll be at 4.9 mil, right? And it already says it takes 2.9 to successfully be able to retire at the age of 65. And like I said, 4.9, you got to remember taxes got to get cut out. So that's really might get me back to like 1 point something. So, and it's like things I always challenge my mind when I look at statistics and numbers like that. Like, yo, people not even paying attention to this shit. Like, do you understand how much money that is? Like, a lot of people are not going to be able to retire at the age of, you retire at 65 and go back to work by 75. They said people usually got a 5 or 10 year route from retirement that they got to return back to work. I had a young lady over here and I'm teaching her at the same time. But some people, retirement plans is really their kids. Right? They get old enough to be like, yo, I can't take care of myself. I want to stay in a retirement home, and stuff like that. That's why at earlier in age, before I would tell people, like, people had multiple kids because it was beneficial for the family. From those kids, the family would be able to take care of their parents. And then out of that branch, if they had grandkids, that whole branch would be able to take care of everybody else. It was always things that was populated on the basis to be able to take care of each other. That's why people were populating heavy at one point at the same time. For family and longevity and some other stuff. But I do want people to be kind of cautious to be aware of what's really taking place when it comes to executing these risks, these financial gains, these investments. It's all necessary.
Cool. And just to keep it on the lowest level, if you got designer in your closet, if you got jewelry on your body, if your car is, you know what I'm saying, quote unquote, a nice car, whatever, you got some type of money to invest or get into some type of business strategies with. It's there. It's just going in the opposite direction. What a lot of people do is they blow the money off on unnecessary things that they don't need, and then they start the calculations of what they have from there. They don't start it prior to buying the unnecessary shit. So that's conditioning as well.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. So I definitely say if you don't have the capital, work on getting the access capital or work on credit. Get your credit up. Like I said, I'm investing in things using credit majority of the time. I don't really like touching my capital because I like to have that access, you know what I'm saying, the access capital whenever I need it. So, but at the same time, understand where you are on a financial level before you put yourself into debt. Right? One of the things that a lot of people don't even grad. This is another thing. People don't even graduate to a positive network till like after the age of 35 or older. If you start to become aware of financial literacy, majority of people are going to die with a negative network. Hands down, right? And that's why one of my mentors had told me before, like, yo, would you believe a man talks shit to me and he got a negative network? And I was young at the time, I didn't understand it. It
Mhm.
was like basically, how dare you talk to me in such manner, but my life is going positively up.
Mhm.
But you're so caught up on the tangibles to look as if you have money but don't have it. So everything impacts me. Everybody takes me different. Unless we got another subject, man, I'm going to wrap it up from right there.
Um, People defending lifestyles. Um, it's a lighter note. Um,
It's a lot. It's a lot we can talk about, but man.
it's a lighter note. One thing that I don't like is um some people make excuses for other people living certain type of lifestyles that they probably didn't even live, but they're trying to evaluate kind of like too much empathy in a sense, and they're not really looking at what that person is doing. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I know what you're talking.
a person coming from rough circumstances, cool, that's a cause for empathy for some people. But yo, if this person is just consistently showing you that they a fuck up, eventually you got to put that label on them. We can't continue to defend that lifestyle because we never lived it and say, well, I can't speak on it because I've never been through that. But if that person is becoming a lost cause, then it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like I feel like some people would try to employ too much energy in certain type of situations. And it's not saying that you give up on people, but sometimes people just got to go through certain things themselves and get themselves out of those type of situations. You know what I mean? Like if you had a family member, which I have and other people have, I know for sure that,
Mhm.
had like a strong drug addiction or whatever, and they keep going back to that addiction, do you keep financing the addiction and employing empathy even though they keep showing you the same results? Or
Mhm.
do you just step away from the situation and let them face their own temptations and demons and come out of it? So sometimes you can't cripple people to where they can't fight their own battles.
Yeah.
That'll be my last shit. Uh, Judging people's lifestyle is not always a negative thing. I didn't want to bring up all the negatives. That's a positive. Some people will try to help people out of any and every situation they get into because maybe they don't have that experience exclusive to them, so they just feel real empathetic for them. So you got to be careful of that as well.
Right, right. And since we talk about lifestyle, I also say is it's amazing to me that people like already argue points. Like one of the biggest argument points that people make is like, yo, you dealing with a man that makes a lot of money, so you know what comes with it, right? You know he gonna do this, you know he gonna do that. Like, hey, look, that woman is somebody in this world, man. You're not even on her level, so you know she gonna do this, you know. But like they said, people be defending non-experienced arguments. But it's just what they heard so much to a point that it has to be 100% true. Has to be. You know what I'm saying?
Man,
But
I said I said I was gonna stop. This is my last one. This is my last one. I said I was
this is
gonna
my
stop.
last.
I
This
said
is
I
my
was gonna
last.
stop. I'm gonna stop doing this, man. I'm gonna stop. I promise. I promise. Nah, I'm gonna do it
All
again.
right, man.
But nah, so what I hate is how if a person don't come from your particular struggle, then you tell them they don't have a struggle. This happens a lot of time.
Right.
Just because I didn't come from what you came from, don't mean I still don't have struggles and problems within my personal life. Or just because I don't have the problems that you have right now, don't mean I didn't have them in the past. So this
Mm-hmm.
whole like judging people based on where they come from or where they didn't come from or where they at right now, that narrative don't make sense to me at all. So you got some people that can have friends and that can be the death of the friendship is because you constantly telling them, well, You ain't never been through this, so you don't know what it's like. But it don't mean that they can't help you out of the situation. They probably been through something else. But it's not the problem itself that should connect you to your network. It's the mentalities that people employ to solve problems that should build your network. If I got a problem solver on my team, that's somebody that's valuable because they know how to solve problems. It don't matter if they never came from what I came from. You know what I mean? Like, that's not why I'm fucking with them. The relationship is built on the fact that they have value. So that's all I'm saying, man. I'm done.
Solution oriented, man.
Yes.
Goddamn, boy, you did good tonight, boy. I ain't got to fire you today, man. I'm proud, man. I'm proud, man. We went
All right.
history, found some good talking points. You did good tonight, man. You made me look good, man. But
Appreciate
the haircut made me look better. I
The
got
haircut made you look better. Yeah.
I
I
got a couple
see you got a
comments.
comment in there.
Man.
I see you got a comment now.
Man, hey, look, I got a couple comments, man. I'm doing good, man.
Okay. All right. All right. Yeah, but we close out on that. Yeah, appreciate y'all for watching. Make sure y'all tap into more content. Talking and Talk official podcast. Up top, we got No Ordinary Brother. I go by the name of King Exodus. Make sure you follow us on IG. We got our YouTube links in our bios. Subscribe to the channel.
Don't forget the pin is right there to the exact link. Talking and Talk official podcast. All right, man. Y'all have a blessed